In this video, I'll show you how to turn your screen recording into a hologram. That's right, a hologram you can interact with, air scroll, virtual pinch and zoom, and watch videos in thin air. And all you need to do it is Camtasia and a little imagination. Let's get into it. If you're new here, hi, I'm Rob, and on this channel, I help you improve your tutorial videos using Camtasia through videos like this one, weekly live streams with Camtasia demonstrations and live Q&As, and soon some cool free resources to help you, which you can download from my website, robthemaritimer.com. More info on that at the end of the video. Every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, I host a live stream here on YouTube where I answer your questions and teach you how to do things in Camtasia live. So if you're looking to improve the quality of your Camtasia videos, I'm here to help you. So drop a like, subscribe, and comment below, and hopefully I'll see you on Tuesday. Now back to the video. Want to see something totally cool? This is super top secret. Check it out. See this? Looks like a drone controller. But can a drone controller do this? It's a hologram. Look, I can go through Camtasia's support pages. I can pinch to zoom. And even press to watch a video.
During editing,
all in thin air.
all of the clips on a track at once. It's more efficient to
Someone's coming.
shift.
Shut off. What the hell is this? What the Okay. Want to see how I made this? So if all went well with this tutorial, you just watched the video that I created in this tutorial that I'm about to create. Let's get into it. So the process is I first had to create the video that we're going to work with. And let me just drag them down onto the timeline. We'll start with the video here. Drag that down to the timeline, down to track. Go to track 2 here. We'll go right to the beginning. And then we'll bring the audio as well. Down here. I've got a bunch of tracks here. Let me just remove all the empty tracks. So now this is the footage that we're going to use to build the video. And we can just scrub through to see what's in it. So it's me talking about the controller. I did a couple of takes there. Okay, and then at the end, I go out the door and then I come back. I then created this screen recording, but we'll get to that in a minute. So first thing we want to do with this footage is we need to sync up the audio and the video. So let's just do it like this. We'll get them close and then hit the play. Cool. This is super top secret. Let's just zoom in here so we can make sure that we've got it lined up. See something. Want to see something totally cool? So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the audio from the video portion. The audio in the bottom track here, that's the audio that I recorded on my computer in Audition, Adobe Audition, and then I processed the audio to make it sound better. So on the video track here, let's right click and click on Silence Audio. So now we're down to just one audio track. See something totally cool. And it's synced up with the video. So now let's zoom back out. And let's go ahead and find where, so I made some mistakes here. We want to cut out what we don't want. Want to see something total. Okay, I know I messed up there. And probably here as well. I think this is the one we want to keep right here. Okay, that I think we'll keep that right there. So let's select both of these. I'll hit the S key for split to split those clips. We'll highlight them and then I'll hit the delete key. And now let's hold down Shift and drag the playhead back. That'll bring everything back to the beginning. Okay, and now let's just play this through and we will make edits as we need to. Oh no, so I messed that up. I didn't want to keep all of that. I think that's where we want to start right there. Split that, we'll delete that, bring this back to the beginning.
Want to see something totally cool? This is super top secret. Check it out. See this? It looks like a drone controller. But can a drone controller do this?
Okay, so at this point we want to add the hologram, okay? The screen recording that we're going to turn into a hologram. So let's go ahead and let's bring down our screen recording now. So I'll drag this down and we'll bring it right here. Okay, and I'm going to zoom this back in. Okay, and actually you can see there's some audio in this too, and the reason that is I recorded these two tracks here, the video and the audio. I recorded that first, and then I loaded it into Camtasia and I played it while I recorded this screen recording. And the reason I did it that way is there's some motions that I do with my finger like this, like I want to press on something in the video and I want to scroll up and I want to pinch to zoom. I wanted to make it easier to sync up. So I played the audio and video, and while it was playing, I did the screen recording and I tried to mimic it so that if I don't get it exactly right, it's not a big deal because I can always use clip speed to make corrections, okay? When I created this, it captured the audio and we can kind of see where the audio goes. I think it's like that. I think this matches up with that. Let's just zoom in here and we want to sync this as well. Let's play this. Okay, so we need to bring this back a little bit. Try that. Okay, so that's going to get us close. Let's zoom back out. So now let's make some adjustments to this screen recording. First of all, I know I want to zoom in a little bit more than this because I'm going to shrink this down, right? And it's going to be harder to see what's in the screen recording. So just to make it a little bit easier, I want to zoom this in. But I want to zoom in without stretching this off of the screen. So the way you do that is let's just click on crop here and let's scale this up like this, okay? See what's happening there is scaling up, but since we have crop pressed, the size of the screen is actually staying like that. So we're scaling up within the constraints of the size of the screen recording, if that makes sense. You can see what I mean. If I hold down Control and then click to move this, I can move it within the crop handles. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's just scale this up a little bit more. Okay, let's go back to Select. And now let's resize this a little bit. It'll make it a little bit smaller and start putting it in the location that we want. To get the skewed 3D look, what we're going to do is use corner pinning, and that's this icon up here. Let's click on that. And now we can move the corners like this. Okay? Can move the corners and give it that 3D look. Okay, so next I'm going to press the select icon again, take corner pinning off, and now I want to sync this screen recording with my finger motions, okay? And actually to see this, I'm going to need to drop the opacity down a little bit. Let's go down to somewhere around 50, okay? And we can see my finger there, and it's actually behind this hologram, but we're going to fix that later. So now let's go through this and make sure we're lining up, or we're syncing the motion within the recording with the finger motions. Okay, so I press there, So the press happens a little too soon. So let's just move this like this. Okay, moved it too far. Let's try that. That's pretty close. Let's zoom in. That might help. Bring it back a little bit more. Okay, that worked. We're just lining up the timing right now. So that finger press worked. That scroll up, that was pretty close. That one was better. Okay, so swipe and it goes up a little delayed. That's probably fine. And that one's good. Okay, that's a pinch to zoom. We're going to take care of that in a minute. Okay, so with that press, a video needs to open up. So I'm going to make a cut in the recording right here. I'm going to press S to cut the recording. And actually on these ones, I'm going to right click and silence those audios right there. So we don't need that twice.
And even press to watch a video.
Okay, right there is where we want a video to open up. But let's go right to this point when the video opens up, okay? So I'm going to cut it right here. We'll split that. I'm going to cut this out, bring this back, and let's see if that lines up. Okay, I'm going to want to silence some of that audio. Let's make a split. Okay, and here I'm going to silence this audio like this. So let's see what that looks like.
Oftentimes during editing, we need to move all of the clips on a track at once.
So we've pretty much got the timing lined up to this point here. Let me just drop a marker so I can remember that. So timing to here. I'm just going to put that down in the marker just so I can use that as a reference. Now, let's look at the audio we have down here. Do we want to keep that? Okay, I think what I'm going to want to do is lower the volume. Let's right click, click on Edit Audio. I think I want to lower the volume of what's playing in the hologram. Let's go down there, see what that's like. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So now let's go back and start modifying the look of the hologram. We want to drop the opacity of this screenshot, and we've already done that. We've dropped it to 50%, and that's probably good enough. Okay, but we can always come back and modify that. The next thing you want to do is grab a border. So let's go to Visual Effects. Grab this border here, drop it here. Okay, now I'm going to change the color of the border. Let's go in here and change it to this cyan color. Okay, and let's give it a little bit of thickness. Okay, and you can click away here to see that it's being applied. Okay, next I want to grab a drop shadow. So let's go look for the drop shadow, also in Visual Effects. Drop shadow's right here. Let's click and drag that down to the same clip. And now with this, I want to apply not just the drop shadow, but I want to apply a color to the drop shadow. So let's click on color here. Let's use that same cyan color, and that gives it that little bit of a glow. Okay? A little bit of a glow that you can kind of see through. All right, so let's just play with the settings here. Let's increase the offset. Let's increase the blur. Let's bring the blur right up to 50. And then the opacity, let's bring that up, make it a little darker, just like that. Now let's go ahead and copy these effects over to the other two tracks. So we'll go to Drop Shadow. Let's hold Shift down and click on Border. We will Control C to copy both of those. And let's highlight both of these and Control V to paste them. Okay? And that pasted those effects to these clips as well. The border, okay, and the drop shadow, all with the same property settings that we set. Let's highlight these three clips and let's right click and click on Stitch Selected Media. Okay, that turns it all back into one clip. And now if we apply any other effects, it'll get applied to everything. So another thing I want to do to this, now that I've got it all back into one clip, I want to add a little bit of a like a floating effect. To add the floating effect, let's go up to behaviors right here. And let's just grab this scale behavior down here and drop it on the recording. And up here in the properties of the scale behavior, we want to set the in style to none and the out style to none. Okay, we only want to mess with the during property, okay? So for during, it's currently set to none. Let's change that to wiggle. And this is what that gives it. Okay, I think that's wiggling a little too much. So in the properties here, we've got all kinds of different things we can adjust. I'm going to drop the frequency down to 0.5 and the offset, let's bring it from 10 down to 4 for both the X and the Y. And then you can see what that looks like. Okay, much better. Next, we're going to add the riser, or a shape that shows that this hologram is coming out of the controller. So the way you do that is we'll go up to annotations. Let's click on shapes, and let's just grab a square shape like this, or a rectangle. Okay, and let's just kind of make it larger. And I'm going to change the color to that same cyan color. And I am going to move it in place. Now, how do you suppose we change this shape? What we do, I'm just going to place this corner right here, and I'm going to go up to corner pinning again. And let's just move these corners like so. Okay, just place them so it makes it look like this image is coming out of the controller. And we can scroll in to get a little bit more precise. Let's just put that in the middle there like that. And we'll move this up a little closer. Okay, so now let's turn the corner pinning back off. And on the solid color here, let's drop the opacity down, way down to, I don't know, probably 13% or so. Here, let's fit this to the screen again. And how does that look? That looks pretty good. Actually, let's give this outline just a little bit of thickness, so we can kind of see a bit of an outline there. Okay, let's make it cyan as well. Right now it's white. Now what we can also do is we can also add the drop shadow to this as well, the same way we added it up here. And we would do that by going to Visual Effects, Drop Shadow, and we'll drop it right on that shape. We will change this color to cyan as well. Okay, and then the offset, give it a bit of an offset, blur, opacity. Okay, let's see what that looks like. I think that's starting to look really, really good. I didn't have this shape starting in the right place. That should probably start right when the hologram starts. Okay, let's go right back to the beginning. And let's clean up the beginning of the story here. That point is when I want this shape to start, just like that, and then the recording to come up. So let's actually use the extend frame feature here by holding down the Option key and hovering over the end of this, and you can click and drag this back like that to match up with the beginning there. Okay, and all that did was extend that frame back. So now both the shape at the bottom and the hologram should be appearing right after I press on the controller. Let's just see that.
It's a hologram. Look.
Okay, so at this point, I know I made a mistake because I don't know if you can tell, but I'm actually not looking at the hologram. Well, there's no hologram there. Anyways, I'm looking at my monitor because I had to remind myself what actions I had to do with my finger, okay? So a lot of planning went into this. But there's a part of this that I have to cut out because of that. So let's just try to make this cut as clean as possible.
Look.
So I probably want to cut it around there. Let's highlight all of this, S to split. So I'm just looking at my face and my hand at that point, and does that match up well here? Let's see, let's try to cut that out. This may not be perfect, but you'll get the idea. Let's highlight that, cut those out. I'll press the Shift key and click and drag this back. Let's see how that cut looks.
Hologram. Look.
I think I want to cut a little bit more of that out. Now, one thing I noticed that jumped as well. The actual hologram itself jumped because of the behavior that I put there, right? So it's okay with the shape. Well, I mean, I could highlight this shape like this and delete that and extend this back like that. There doesn't need to be because there's no animation or anything happening to that. That's just a shape, a static shape. But now the recording, because of the wiggle behavior that I have in there, that kind of got messed up here. Now, so if I look back at this, the stitch was back here. So all of this, from this point back, it is all the same scene. So I should be able to just highlight this and hold our Option or Alt key down here and extend this back like this. Okay, now let's play that through. And it should be a smooth transition here.
It's a hologram. Look, I can go through Camtasia's support pages.
Much better. There's some edits we want to make here. So when I click here, when I press the hologram here, and we go to that screen, at that point I want to change what is showing on the screen. So this is the screen track right here. Okay, let's actually change this name. Double click that. I'm going to call that screen. That'll help a little bit. Okay, and let's try to find exactly where it changes. It's right there. I'm going to press S to split this right here. Let's go back up and press our crop tool, hold down Control, and I can click and drag this to where I want it to line up. And it would probably look best if I had this up here. Okay, let's just see what that looks like. Much better. Okay, you can see since I have more things showing on the screen, you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so let's zoom out. Let me now get back to fixing the hand, which I was going to do a little bit ago. So the way you do that is we need to make a copy of myself right here. So this is the video of myself. I've got it highlighted. I don't have to worry about this part back here because it's only happening from here onwards. So with this clip selected, we will go Control D to duplicate that clip. Okay, and it added it right here, right above it, which is not where I want it. I want it to occur above the hologram. Okay, so I am going to click on this track and drag it up there. Okay, actually, while we're at it, this shape here, let's extend that so that it occurs the entire time this recording is occurring. Okay. Okay, now you can't see the hologram because it's behind my playhead. Okay, what I need to do with this one is I need to remove the background. So it should hopefully just have me on the screen without the background. I'm going to hold down the Option or Alt key and press on this little eyeball here. What that does, normally when you press on the eyeball, it will hide a track like that. But if you press the Alt or Option key on a Mac and then click on that, that solos that track. It hides everything else except that track. And the way you reverse that to get out of that mode is you hold the Option or Alt key again and click it again. Okay? So that's just a quick way to only show that one track. So with that track shown, let's highlight it. Let's go up to Visual Effects and look for the background removal. We'll click here and drag it down. Just like that, it removed the background and it looks like it did a really good job. Okay, now let's bring everything else back. We'll hold Option and click Now, as you can see, my hand is on top of the hologram. Okay, now we're going to do the pinch to zoom. Okay, right here, just looking at my hand, that's where I want the pinch to zoom to start. So what we want to do is we're dealing with this layer here. That is the screen. I've got it called here screen. And I'm going to go get an animation. We'll click animations, bring down a custom animation, and we'll drop it right there. Let's zoom in. And so we know where the pinch to zoom is going to start. Let's watch my fingers and see where it's going to end. Right there. So right about there. Okay. So now let's actually pinch and zoom it. Well, before I pinch and zoom it, let's just go ahead, because I know the next thing is I'm going to press on a video to play it. So let's just see where on the screen I'm going to press.
And even press to watch a video.
Okay, it looked like it was right there. So try to keep that in mind. Right there, about 2/3 of the way down and pretty close to the middle, that's where I'm going to be pressing. So let's try to pinch and zoom. Let's zoom in here and have a video in that location. Okay, so let's go back here, put the playhead back here, and with this clip highlighted, okay, and we'll click on crop again. I will press down Control, and now we're going to drag the scale up. Just like that. Okay, and holding Control, all while holding Control down, I'm now going to, no, 1 second now, I actually have to solo the screen track because it was selecting a track underneath. Okay, so with this screen selected, holding down Control, again, I want to move something so that it was about 2/3 down, right about here. So let's just move that one here. So we're going to press the edit audio one. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's take crop off and let's unsolo this track. We'll hold down Alt or Option and click there. Okay, now let's see if that worked out all right.
Pinch to zoom.
Didn't look perfect, so it's actually this one down here that I want to zoom up, I believe. So let's just try this again. I want to move this up. So let's solo this track, hold down Control, and drag this up. No. We have to press crop first, and then hold down Control and drag this up. Let's see if that works. I think that's pretty good. Maybe we also have to bring it over a little bit to this one. Let's see if that looks good. I think that's going to match up a little bit better. Press Option or Alt and let's unsolo this track and let us take crop off and see what that looks like. Much better.
And even press to watch a video.
Okay, so you press to watch a video. Now at that point we already stitched something together here, but I want to move it because we've now zoomed in, so we kind of messed up the video that we framed earlier. So let's go ahead and cut this clip right here. We'll press the S key. Okay, and we're dealing with this clip here. I've just pressed and I want a video to be showing at this point. So let's go back into crop mode. We have to solo this track again. Okay, let's hold down Control and center that video. We're going to have to bring the scale down. Okay, I'm holding down Control the whole time that I'm doing this. And let's just get that video relatively centered. Okay, it doesn't matter that it's not necessarily the video that I actually pressed. That would be a little bit too difficult. So I think that's pretty good. So we're going to go from clicking there to that. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So let's unsolo this track again. Let's zoom out and let's just see where we are. Okay, so now let's add some more animations and let's build the end of this video. So let's just play this through until we find a spot that we need to edit.
While you could select all the clips and then drag them. It's more efficient to
Someone's coming.
shift.
So I noticed that some of the audio that was captured by the hologram is now out of sync. That's okay because I can remove that audio from this track. Now it's a little difficult because it looks like it overlaps a little bit with the audio from the actual video that's playing. Let's just see what we can do here.
While you could select all the clips and
Let's just cut it off there.
you could select all the clips.
Well, you could select all the clips. At that point, okay, I'm actually going to right click and click on Edit Audio. Okay. Make the track height a little higher so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to right click and add an audio point right there. And I'm going to right click right beside it and add another one. Okay. At that point, I'm going to want to bring this volume down. Well, let's just see if there's anything else I want to keep.
Someone's coming.
It's more efficient to
Someone's coming.
shift.
Okay, I could probably keep that. So let's just remove this part here. So let's put the playhead here. We'll right click, add another audio point, and then right click here and add another audio point. And now we can just click and drag this down to silence that first someone's coming that I wanted to remove. Okay, so let's zoom that back out again. Okay, so now I'm trying to close this down and it's not working.
And drag.
Off.
Okay, I think at this point I am going to remove the rest of the audio from the hologram. So we'll add an audio point here and then another one back here. Let's just drag all of this down. We're not going to need the audio anymore.
Off.
Okay, so that wasn't working. So at that point, see what I did with my hand there? The idea is I'm going to take that and shove it over towards the door. Okay, so right here, I want to add an animation to this recording. And also at that point, as soon as that starts moving, this shape that's down below it, I want that to basically disappear. So let's click and drag this back to the playhead, just a little bit past the playhead. Let's put a fade on that. So go up to favorites. I have the fade transition here. Just throw that there. So when my hand does that, that fades away. So again, let's go back to my hand. Here is where I want the animation to start. So now let's go up to animations, grab a custom animation and drag that down to the clip right here, down to the recording. Let's zoom in so we can see what I'm doing. See if that matches up. Well, we have to add the animation first, don't we? So it's going to start here, right there. And then I'm going to send it that way. And let's say by then the motion stops. So we'll bring that back to about there. Okay, so now let's modify the properties of this hologram. Let's actually hide this for now. Okay, that track was the track of me with the background removed, but when I go to try to click here, it was selecting that, and I don't want that. So we want to be able to select this clip. So with this selected, let's start making some adjustments in the properties. We'll bring the scale down. Okay, let's click and drag it over towards the door. Bring the scale down a bit more. Let's say it's about that big. And like that. Now I want to skew it a little bit more. We'll zoom in. Okay, let's go to corner pinning. And let's just, if I make these, bring them in a little bit like this, that'll make it a little thinner. Like that, say. Let's put the select tool back on, and we'll move this again right there, right in the door frame. Okay, let's bring these up a little bit more. Let's just bring these corner pins back up just a little bit more. Okay, and bring this back just a hair. That's probably good. The offset on the drop shadow doesn't look quite right. It looks like it's a little too far away. So let's go over to the drop shadow here and bring the offset down a bit. Tighten that up a little bit, just like that. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Okay, I like the position of that. Now let's see what the actual animation looks like. Oh, that was kind of cool. Okay, you can see I kind of want this shape to disappear sooner than it did. So let's drag this back like that. How about there? I think that works. Okay, and now I'm getting up and I'm going to push it out the door. So let's try to build that in. So again, my hand is not in the right place. That's because I hid this. So if I unhide that track, my hand is in front of it again. Okay, so that worked. I'm just looking at my hand. Oh, my hand pushed it. It was a little too low. See, I'm pushing it right there. The idea was to push it there. So let's bring this up to where my hand is. Put the playhead back here. Let's hold Shift and click and move this up a little bit. That's probably a good spot. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so another animation at this point. Bring down another custom animation. And this is going to happen a little quicker. I need it to end right there. I basically want this to go out the door. So how do I make this go out the door? Basically go behind the door. I need another copy of the background to be in front of hologram screen. Okay, so let's just zoom out here so we can kind of take stock of where we are. This is the hologram screen. I need it to be behind the background image. Our background image is right here. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to make a cut right here. Press S to make a cut. And now I'm going to drag this up here. Okay, that shouldn't have made any difference to anything. Okay, it's really only affecting that screen. Okay, the shape goes away, so we don't have to worry about the shape. And I still want my hand, which is this one. This is my hand without the background, remember? If I solo it like that, I still want it above the hologram. So now I want to basically push that out the door before it hides it. But I don't want it just to disappear like that. I want to crop the background. So with the background highlighted, I want to crop it to this point, to the door frame. Okay, so with the background highlighted, we'll zoom in here. Pull this back a little bit so we can see the edge of the door frame. Okay, and now let's go up to crop, and let's crop in this side. As you can see, there's no background behind this part. So let's undo that. Okay, so just taking me a couple steps here. I want actually to keep a copy of this. Control C, Control V to paste it and bring it back. So I do need to keep a copy down here as well. Okay, because when I crop this in, I want to be able to keep this background. So with this highlighted, let's click the crop tool. Let's crop in this left side. See, now we can still see the background. Let's drag the playhead back again so we can see the door frame. Now, At this point, let's zoom in. At this point, that animation of the screen right here needs to go behind. So I give it a little push there, behind the door frame, behind this door frame here. So at this point here, I want to click, and with select tool selected, I'm going to drag it over here behind the door frame, out of sight. Okay, let's just see if I have to make any adjustments. I do. It moves. It starts to move. As soon as it gets to that point, I need this door frame there. Can I bring that back like that? I think that worked. Let's see. Let's see if that works. There, that did work. Let's back this up again, and let's watch both of these animations in sequence just to make sure everything looks good. Perfect. Now, a little bit of cleanup before we get to the next step, because if we didn't do that, things would get very, very messy. So at this point, I sit back down on the chair. Okay, I actually have 2 copies of me going here, and we don't need that anymore. Once that door is shut right there, I can get rid of the rest of this, okay, because the background is the same. So let's just highlight that. I'll press S to cut it there, and we can delete that. But there's the hologram. We don't want that there anymore. So let's just cut this as well and move that out of the way. And the reason I didn't just delete it is because we're going to need it later. Let's just move it down there for now. So let's just make sure this still works. All good. I sit down. Okay, so when I get startled, why did I get startled? Because somebody's coming in the door. All right, so we have to add that. Let's bring this back. Right here. Right there is where the door opens. So with the playhead there, let's click a marker here, and I'm just going to write door opens. Okay? Let's zoom out. Let's move this back here. Now we also don't need this top part here with the background. Okay, we should probably delete that as well. So at this point here, when we deleted, right, when we deleted the rest of that one up here, this one here, when we deleted the rest of that scene, we could have also deleted this copy here of myself with the background removed. So let's highlight that anywhere here, press S. Now let's just pull this back to this point here so it's all neat and tidy. It still works just fine. So we can just totally delete. Actually, I'm not going to totally delete that because we can use this in a second. Okay, let's move that out of the way. I didn't move it. I dragged in the handle because this is still in sync with the bottom part. Okay, and you can tell that here is one copy of it. Here's the other copy. And with this highlighted, if we hide this, we can see that that did not change. So we're still in sync. Okay, let's zoom out. And let's get back to editing this. So here's where the door opens. So at that point, I want to start entering the door. So we can find that I recorded. So I recorded this all in the same take. Okay, everything we've been working with up to this point, and it's only a minute of video, so we're only about a minute into it, right? Once I did that, I then got up, okay, moved the chair out of the way, and I went out the door, and then I came back in, okay? And it's when I come back in, right there, that's what I want to bring. So the background is identical, except I moved the chair out of the way, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and make a cut to both of these copies. Highlight them both, press S, okay? And now that is the point where we open the door and I walk through. Now, I don't want the copy this top copy that does not have the background, okay? Because remember, that background was removed of me sitting down. So in fact, I'm not going to want that one at all. Let's delete that. And quite honestly, I probably don't want any of this either, okay? So actually, so let's just delete that top copy. So here's where I'm opening the door and coming in, okay? What I want to do is I want to move this track up. I want to move everything up. So I'm going to right click here on track 2, click insert track below. Okay, now I have an empty track here, and I want this to be moved underneath it. But first, I'm going to need to put it at the beginning there. I also needed to cut this one, right? This is the audio synced up with it. Let's just make sure it's still synced. Okay, so that works. That's together. Let's go ahead and group these like this. Right click, click on group. Okay, this is the one that has the background that I'm going to want to use. We want to move that over here and snap it to our marker that we added to open the door. Okay, now it's at this point where I need to remove the background of this. Okay, I didn't need to remove it here, but once we're here at this point, so I've got the playhead exactly there because I double clicked on this clip at the beginning. Let's press S, and this one I want to remove the background. So we'll go up to Visual Effects, Background Removal, drag it down there. Now, if we drag this, you have 2 of me on the screen. Now, before I go too far with this, there's one thing I wanted to point out. We'll zoom in. If you notice anything funny about the background, the background went from blurry, if just look at the blue here, to not blurry. The reason that is because in this shot here, that is the background of this shot. My camera is focused on my face, and I have a low aperture setting of 1.4, which gives you the blurry background. That's just the way. I probably should have adjusted the settings of my camera before I did this so that nothing was blurry in the back. Although if I had done that, if it was not blurry in the back, it has a harder time. Camtasia has a harder time of doing a good job removing the background. So it helps to have a blurry background for the removal background effect to work well. But there's a way we can fix this to make this look a little more seamless. And that is when we go from this point to this point, okay, the blurry background to not blurry background, all we need to do is go up and add a fade transition that kind of hides the effect a little bit, not perfectly, but it does a relatively good job. So we drag that down there. Let's just see what that looks like. Okay, not perfect. In fact, we had some lighting issues going on here, so let's just zoom in and see what we can do to fix this. It might have to do with this group here. Let's expand this group, ungroup. Okay, see if that helps. No, that fades. That fades to nothing. So basically we just have to drag this back. This one here, let's drag it back a little bit like that. That helps. Okay. Now I noticed the timing's off a little bit. I wanted the door to open before I turned around. So let's highlight these 2. Again, let's drag this back as well, just so they're together again. We'll right click and group them again. Okay, that still looks good. Yep. Okay, so let's drag this back a little bit. Let's open that door a little sooner. A little bit more. Let's zoom out and see what that looks like. Well, a little bit more. Okay, so at that point, I want to add the hologram back on. So right there, the idea is, I'm holding my hand flat and I want the hologram to be in my hand. So let's, at this point, bring the hologram back. There it is. Let's zoom in. Let's move the hologram over here. Let's make some adjustments to it. Turn corner pinning back on. Make some adjustments like this. That's probably good. And that might be a little too big. Let's just scale it down a little bit. Okay, and move it to my hand. See what that looks like. Okay, so I need to move it. Let's zoom in. And I need to move it. And then it gets a little bit larger. Okay, that's going to be kind of a complicated motion. We could probably use motion path to do this. So let's go ahead and add a motion path. First let's fade that on so we don't have to worry about the whole door frame and all that. We'll just do this an easier way. Let's just fade it on. Okay, let's go to our visual effects, go look for motion path, drag that down here. Okay, let's zoom out so we can see the path. And now we're going to need to make some adjustments. So I'm just going to go ahead and make these adjustments really quick. Okay, so I think that's good. Let's see what we've got now. Okay, and at that point, I start walking ahead. So now we need to find the ending. Let's just cut it all right there. And we'll delete that. We'll highlight all that, hit the S key, and we'll delete those. So now, one last thing to do to clean up the animation part is notice how I start walking forward. So that last little motion, I need that to expand. Okay, so let's bring an animation down to our screen right here, right to the end. I won't put it to the end just yet because I want to make this larger. And I am just going to grab the scale here and go up a little like that. And let's just see what that looks like. So I need to shorten the animation. I don't want any easing on this. Easing none, because it's just going to stop right there. That's probably good, just like that. If you want more tips like this, come join me on Tuesdays for my weekly live stream. I live stream every Tuesday here on YouTube, sharing my screen and doing how-to tutorials. I show you how I make my videos and I answer any questions you have live. So if you're looking to level up your videos, join me on Tuesdays. I'm Rob and I'll see you in the next video or in a live stream. I'll see you soon.